Awards. Love them or hate them, it's something you need to think about as a creative. This episode 121 of Horrible Writing.
That will never work. You can't fuck with us. Seriously? Don't. Oh my God, that's another thing you can do. That's bad. You probably should find other hobbies. You ever learn to stop? Be happy. Well, you don't. Don't bother me. I've seen better things. Do you really want to? And my third grade, give it up.
Welcome to Horrible Writing, the rawest, most candid, in-your-face writing show on the interwebs because none of us have time to suck. Let's do this. Hey everybody, Paul Sading, your host of Horrible Writing. I hope this finds you well. I hope you are enjoying whatever's going on in your corner of the world. For us in the northern hemisphere, we're all getting excited because the weather is warming up. The sun is staying out. It's awesome. Those of you in the southern, whatever you feel about winter, it's coming. I can't say that. I'm sure there's a copyright infringement somewhere. So, 121 episodes. Amazing. Everything else, besides my home floor project, amazing. Those of you who don't know, I am doing a perpetual home improvement project where I'm laying flooring. I have no skills, but I am unemployed, so I've got the time. And my wife is making me work hard. But it's actually kind of cool to be able to do physical things like that. It's completely different kind of work. And it's kind of really helped my writing in a way, keeping me get excited again. You know, I'm like the dog on the chain. I'm trying to get back to writing more and more and more. This project is kind of standing in the way, but at some point in the near future, it'll be done. Zodiac, the second book, The Horn of Taurus, is with my editor. And by the time you hear this episode, she'll be working on the third book, The Gemini Paradox. So that is really coming along. This is the first time I've ever had a developmental editor. And it's not as bad as I thought it was in terms of what I needed to do for this story. She needs me to do some things, tweak some things. Some things got to be broken and rebuilt, but it's coming along nicely. And I hope to actually have news on release date for the first 4 books, release dates, because I'm going to be releasing them, obviously, on different dates. Very, very soon. Would be much closer if it wasn't for this damn floor. But I don't plan on chasing any awards with Biteraries, The Horn of Taurus, The Gemini Paradox, or the 4th book, Cancer's Curse, because that's not important to me. Awards are not important to me. Now, that may sound strange and foreign to some of you. I hope it doesn't, but it may sound antagonistic to some of you. It's not. Awards just aren't important to me. They may be to you, and that's okay. But as writers, especially those of us in the indie space, we only have so much time, and we've got to do everything. Some of you are. Some of you aren't getting covers from somebody else. You're doing them yourself. Some of you are self-editing all the way through. You're literally doing everything for your book. So awards is another step in the process for those who choose it. And there are different reasons why people do. But this ties to those goals. Remember at the beginning of the year, I wanted you thinking about your short, medium, and long-term goals. And I don't know how many of you have done it. And I'm not going to ask you, but I hope you are. I do not blow off the goals. Setting your own goals. I watch so many people tread water and sometimes even slip into reverse so often. And they come seeking advice. They want to know what to do next. if they would just sit down and get serious about goal setting, these things would be happening for them. But there's a lot of people who haven't invested the time into considering why goal setting is so important. So they don't do it. And that just validates their belief that goal setting is a waste of time. They're just going to work and things will get done. Yes, you will and they will, but you might be working on the wrong thing, or you might find yourself constantly jumping lanes to get into the lane you need to be in. Focus on the goals and work toward it that way. And I've done that from the beginning, whether it was podcasts, the fiction podcasts, like audio fiction with Paul Sadie and me, or all the old ones I had, and my books now. I don't care about awards. I don't read about them. I don't go reading for them. I don't go looking for them. And for me, that's because it doesn't help me achieve what my goals are. My goals for my writing are about loving my stories first and foremost. I want my stories to take me someplace where I'm not. And I hope that there are people who come along for the ride, others who want to be taken somewhere else. That's what my hope is for these stories, first and foremost. Working on the Zodiac series, the whole premise is Zeke, main character, is a demon. He lives in hell. He's the only demon in the history of demons without magic. All other demons have it. So he's an outcast. They call him the segregate because of how significant it is that he does not have magic. And then he goes on a bunch of adventures with his two friends. I am in love with Zeke and Bilba and Rowrick, the three buddies who find themselves suddenly serving Lucifer's council and all the whims that the council needs to run hell. These guys got to go do their dirty work. It's a lot of fun, and they're very playful, and there's some comedic elements in it, which is why I describe that book series as a cross between Jim Butcher, his Dresden Files, and Christopher Moore's Lamb, because it's got that action-adventure element to it, that supernatural aspect, the urban fantasy setting, but it's also those comedic elements. Of course, now I fall far short of Christopher Lamb and Jim Butcher, but, I use them as role models for this because that's where my attention needs to go to, is enjoying those stories. Now, you all know I do this podcast, and I've talked about throttling back on this podcast, and I have only going to an episode every 2 weeks instead of weekly, because I'm not investing the time I need to be in my fiction, because my goal is financial. I need to make a living off of these creative elements, which means I need to get these more books done, which means I need to get audiobooks done, which means I need to do less podcasting because it doesn't make me any money, or very little. The patrons I do have are patrons who've been around for a very long time. And regardless of how much content I put out there with this podcast or audio fiction, it doesn't attract the crowd. And one of the secrets of Patreon is to be successful, you've got to be in that space where people are. You've got to be on Twitter a lot. You've got to be on Reddit a lot. I'm not interested in adding that much more work, because the minute I unplug from Twitter or it just goes away, then I lose that avenue, right? It's not permanent. It's very flexible. So I want to stay away from that and focus on the things that I want. So anything that detracts and distracts from that has got to go to the wayside for me, because they, like awards, they do not serve me. Now, for some of you, it is a thing you need. It is important to you to be recognized, to have that story recognized by a committee at such and such publication or whatever it may be, to validate that story, or you as that author. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. The needs for that kind of recognition are very deep. They go very deep in a person's story. and they're very valid. But they also take a lot of time to do. So, weigh what is important to you. What is your 5-year goal? What is your 10-year goal? Do awards directly relate to those goals you have, and in doing so, do they not derail or slow down your progress? If you can't answer both of those in the affirmative, then, maybe awards aren't for you. Maybe it is just purely an ego thing that you think you need because you see other people doing it. I see audio fiction people, audio drama people doing this all the time. Chasing awards, as if it is a validation that, yes, you are awesome. Well, trust me, there's plenty of non-award winners out there that are much better than the award winners. That's not necessarily true. There are a lot of people who just don't bother with those things. And that's okay if you do, and as long as it helps you meet your goals. And it's okay if you don't, as long as it helps you meet your goals. Don't chase them because other people chase them. Don't ignore them because other people ignore them. Find out what works best for you. I hope this episode has helped. If it has, ratings and reviews, please. Those do wonders for me on your favorite podcatcher, but especially Apple Podcasts. If you want to support the show, pick up one of my books by looking for me on Amazon, Paul Sading. Very easy to find. Or become a patron and get exclusive stories all the time. Extra bonus content every month. It's a once a month patronage, not once an episode. One time a month. All gestures help. So don't feel shy about supporting if you can and if you appreciate what I do. Until next month, until you hear from me again, until we speak, keep being epic.
Transcription by Renzi Lee over at Renzi Lee Freelancing. For fast turnaround times on content writing, transcription, and editing services, email Renzi at renzileefreelancing@gmail.com.
This has been Horrible Writing, and hopefully after this episode, you suck less than you did at the beginning. I am Paul Sading, your host extraordinaire. You can find me over on the Twitterverse at Writing Horrible and over at paulsading.com/horrible-writing. Until next time, suck less.